Mayor Adams is rejecting calls to step down, even as the pressure grows from within his own party. Speaking at two churches in Queens yesterday, the mayor compared the charges he's facing to the devil, drawing applause from the crowd.
They danced on my grave when I was indicted, and I was stated that you would spend 35 years in jail for something you didn't do. And God said, Eric, rise up. I'm not going to step down, I'm going to step up.
Come on now.
I got a mission to finish.
State Senate Majority Leader Andrea Stewart-Cousins, one of New York's top Democrats, added her voice to the growing chorus of lawmakers who said that he should step down.
What the city needs right now, since we're in the budget process, indicates that, we really are spending more time on the mayor and his plight. And again, I think, it's distracting, and we have a job to do.
A Manhattan federal judge could dismiss the bribery and corruption charges against the mayor any day now. The Justice Department did finally file their motion to dismiss the case on Friday. Associate Deputy Attorney General Emil Bovee filed it himself after at least 7 prosecutors in New York and Washington resigned rather than obey his order to dismiss the case without prejudice. Governor Hochul, though, is the one with the power to remove Adams from office. When asked about it last week, she said she's taking time to process the situation and figure out the right approach. We're also learning that the mayor met with several of his deputy mayors at City Hall on Friday, during which they expressed their concerns about the mayor's perceived chumminess with the Trump administration. And according to Politico this morning, Deputy Mayors Maria Torres Springer, Mira Joshi, and Ann Williams-Isom, who oversees the city's migrant response, all expressed discontent with the current situation. There are also reports that several people in the mayor's inner circle are considering resigning from their posts. State Senator Deputy Majority Leader Mike Gianaris is one of those lawmakers calling for the mayor to step down, and he joins me now here in the studio to talk more about this. Good morning.
Good morning, Jamie.
So he clearly isn't going anywhere on his own accord, but a mayor has only been removed once before from office in 1932. Is that where we're headed?
Well, that's going to be up to the governor, but I think we should. Like, I never expected Eric Adams to say, oh, you're all right, I'm going to resign, right? And a lot of people said that when he was first charged. I was not one of them. I wanted to let the process play out, give him the benefit of the presumption of innocence, and see where it goes. But what we're talking about now is something wholly different. Eric Adams today is not the Eric Adams the people of New York elected. He is a surrogate for Donald Trump. And that is something that is anathema to so many New Yorkers. If I dare say, if there was an election tomorrow, well, there's one coming up soon, but if there were one tomorrow and said, this is a man who's going to do Donald Trump's bidding on behalf of New York City, would you elect him or not? Of course, the people here would say no. And so that's what we're facing now. It's not so much about the horrible allegations the U.S. Attorney's office has made about quid pro quos of, drop the charges and I'll do what you want on policy, which seems to be the case. It's the fact that he is not running this city. The Trump administration is running the city, and we saw that on display late last week when the head of ICE humiliated him on the national network and said, do what we're asking you to do, or I'm going to be, quote unquote, up your butt in your office. So
well, I want to show some of that video from them on Fox and Friends, because it was really something. We were talking about it after the fact, Pat and I here when it was on the air, is that regardless of what was said, just the image of the two of them together smiling on the couch of Fox and Friends really said something.
It absolutely did. And it just highlighted what a lot of us thought was going on. I have never before seen a situation where the Department of Justice says, we're going to drop the charges for now. We may come back to them because we think they may have merit, but we want you in the interim to do all the things we want you to do on our behalf. And it was explicit. It wasn't even like they were hiding that that's what they're doing. They're basically saying, under threat of being recharged and ultimately put in prison if you're found guilty, we're going to expect you over the next 10 months to do exactly what we ask you to do. And then the head of ICE said as much on that Fox and Friends interview.
I want to put up a screen that we have, and it is an incomplete list, and the list keeps changing, of the people who have called for Adams to step down or resign. This is, well, at least the leaders of the party who are saying so far. My question to you that I'm wondering is, are you having conversations with these people in private, talking about how you might lobby the governor to do something?
Well, we talk amongst ourselves all the time, right?
Right.
Because our work brings us together. And so this has certainly been a hot topic of conversation. The governor knows where we're all at. We talk to the governor, she talks to us. She herself has said she is taking her time to talk to leaders throughout the state and figure out her course of action. I don't mind her being deliberate about this. It's not as easy as she wakes up tomorrow, snaps her fingers, and he's out of office. There's a due process involved. She would have to file charges against him, have a hearing. But by the same token, I don't think the mayor's getting reelected. And so it's this 10-month window that is really dangerous because we currently have Donald Trump running the city for the next 10 months unless Eric Adams is removed. And I think the governor has the power to do that and needs to make her decision relatively soon.
I mentioned earlier Politico reporting some of his deputy mayors considering resigning, that they have been meeting. Do you think something like that might push the governor a little bit?
Well, I think so because, and this is the point our Senate leader, Andrew Stewart Cousins, made, is the distraction of all this is making the city ungovernable. And if deputy mayors start resigning, if people who run the city on a day-to-day basis are no longer there, what are we doing to this city? All in the name of the fact that Donald Trump won't let Eric Adams resign or step down because he wants him there to do what he wants him to do for the next 10 months.
I keep wondering how much Kathy Hochul is pausing and taking her time because of the Andrew Cuomo of it all. There has been so much talk about him jumping into a race for mayor, and maybe it would be for this special election if that would happen when she removes Eric Adams. But over the weekend, Carl McCall, of all people, now urging him to run. What do you make of all that?
I think there were a lot of people thinking about the political chessboard months ago when the mayor was first charged, and they didn't want Andrew Cuomo in, so they didn't want to call for him to resign because it might make it more likely that he would be. We're so beyond that right now. We're in a dangerous time in this city. Nothing could be worse, in my opinion, than having for the next 10 months effectively Donald Trump run in this city. And Eric Adams has put himself in that position under threat of being charged criminally. And so my attitude is I don't know who you like or don't like about who's running for mayor. This current situation cannot stand.
So you think Andrew Cuomo would be a better idea than Eric Adams at the moment?
I think Andrew Cuomo would be a better idea than Donald Trump. And I think that's what we're facing right now. This is not Eric Adams right now. You know, I think Donald Trump is the one who's calling the shots. And they said as much. I mean, that's the thing that always gets me. You make this argument. Even they are not saying that Eric Adams is calling the shots. The Trump administration is out there publicly saying, if you don't act the way we expect you to act, these charges are going to be refiled against you. It's crazy.
I want to talk about one more thing related to Donald Trump, because you are in state budget negotiations and the budget says one thing, Donald Trump might say another thing about funding for New York. Are you worried about federal funding coming to the city and state?
Certainly. So much of the state budget comes from the federal government. And if the federal government decides to become punitive or otherwise harm New York by withholding funds, it would blow a huge hole in our budget in a way that would be catastrophic. And so, yes, we're certainly worried about that. Hopefully it won't come to that.
All right. Well, what a few days it has been. Senator, thank you for being here this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. For more stories in your communities, click the subscribe button right here. You can also download our app or watch us on TV for the latest news and weather updates every 10 minutes and more. We'll see you then.